the silent betrayal. Dear Alina Vasquez stood in the observation deck of Research Station Omega 7, watching the twin stars of the Centauri system paint the asteroid field in shades of gold and crimson. She had been the station commander for 3 years now, overseeing a team of 60 researchers who studied exotic matter and quantum phenomena at the very edge of human space. The station was small compared to the massive orbital cities around Earth, but it represented something important. It was humanity's furthest outpost, a symbol of their endless curiosity and determination to push beyond known boundaries. The research they conducted here had already revolutionized human understanding of faster-than-light travel and energy generation. Alina took pride in knowing that their work would benefit not just humanity, but all the species in the Galactic Cooperative. For 15 years, humans had been members of this vast alliance of civilizations, sharing technology and knowledge. With dozens of alien species, they had signed mutual defense treaties and trade agreements, building what everyone believed was a lasting peace. Marcus Chen burst into the observation deck, his face pale with panic. The young communications specialist was normally calm and collected, but now his hands shook as he held his tablet. Alina had recruited Marcus personally from the Seoul Defense Academy because of his brilliant mind and steady nerves. Seeing him, this terrified sent ice through her veins. "Commander, we have a problem," Marcus said, his voice cracking. "Long-range sensors are picking up massive energy signatures approaching from the Void Nebula. The computer is classifying them as Korthok swarm vessels." Alina felt her stomach drop. The Korthok were a nightmare species that the galaxy had been fighting for over a century. They were insectoid creatures that lived in vast hive ships, consuming entire worlds and leaving nothing but dead rock behind. The Galactic Cooperative had established a buffer zone of fortified systems to keep them contained, but somehow they had broken through. "How many ships?" Alina asked, though she dreaded the answer. "Initial count shows 47 vessels, ranging from fighter swarms to 3 massive hive carriers," Marcus replied. "Commander, they will be here in less than 6 hours." Elena's mind raced through their options. The station had defensive shields and a small complement of automated weapon platforms, but they were designed to ward off pirates and asteroids. Not a full Korthok invasion force. Their best hope was evacuation, but the station's shuttle fleet could only carry 20 people at a time, and it would take multiple trips to get everyone to safety. "Send immediate distress signals to all cooperative worlds," Alina ordered. "Use priority alpha encryption and invoke Article 7 of the Mutual Defense Charter. Tell them we need immediate military assistance." Thomas Reeves jogged into the observation deck, his security uniform crisp, despite having been roused from sleep. The former colonial marine had served on 3 different frontier worlds before taking the security chief position on Omega 7. His scarred hands and steady eyes spoke of someone who had seen real combat and survived. Alina trusted him completely. "I heard the alert," Thomas said. "What's our tactical situation?" Alina quickly briefed him on the approaching Korthok fleet. Thomas listened without interruption, his expression growing grimmer with each detail. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment, running calculations in his head. "We can't fight 47 ships with what we have," Thomas said finally. "Our best bet is to evacuate as many people as possible and then make a fighting retreat to buy time for rescue ships to arrive." Marcus looked up from his communication console, hope flickering in his eyes. "Commander, I'm getting responses too. Our distress call. The Zilarian Empire acknowledges our message and says they are reviewing the situation." Alina nodded, feeling some of the tension leave her shoulders. The Xilarians were one of humanity's oldest allies, blue-skinned humanoids who had helped Earth develop their first interstellar drives. If anyone would come to their aid, it would be them. Over the next hour, responses trickled in from across the galaxy. The Andrian collective expressed their sympathy, but explained that their fleet was engaged in training exercises and could not be diverted. The Crystal Confederacy reminded everyone that their ships were not designed for combat and SUGGESTED, filing a formal complaint with the Galactic Council. The machine intelligence sent a coldly mathematical analysis explaining that the probability of successfully defending the station was less than 12%, making military intervention inadvisable. Each message was like a knife in a heart. These were species that humanity had helped, worlds that human ships had defended during the expansion wars. The researchers on Omega-7 had shared their discoveries freely, advancing the technology of every cooperative member. Yet when humans needed help, everyone found excuses to stay away. The Korthok fleet dropped out of hyperspace for hours ahead of schedule, their dark ships emerging from the void like hungry predators. Alina watched from the command center as the alien vessels spread out in a perfect attack formation. The hive carriers were massive, each one easily 10 times the size of Omega-7. They looked like enormous insects made of black metal and organic components, pulsing with bioluminescent veins that carried nutrients and energy throughout their structure. All civilian personnel to the evacuation shuttles, Alina announced over the station's communication system. This is not a drill. Security teams to defensive positions. Engineering, bring all weapon systems online. Thomas coordinated the evacuation with military precision, getting families and non-essential personnel onto the shuttles in groups of 20. The first shuttle launched just as Korthok fighters began swarming toward the station. Alina watched. The small civilian craft streaked toward the jump point, praying it would reach safety before the aliens intercepted it. Incoming plasma torpedoes, Marcus reported from his sensor station. Impact in 30 seconds. The station's defensive shields flared to life, creating a shimmering barrier of energy around the facility. The Korthok weapons struck like hammers, each impact sending shockwaves through the structure. Alina gripped her command chair as the lights flickered and alarms blared throughout the station. Shields holding at 70%, reported Chief Engineer Lisa Park from the power core. But they won't last long under this kind of bombardment. Alina activated the station's weapon systems, 6 plasma cannons that emerged from hidden ports in the hull. They were maintenance tools modified for combat, designed to break up dangerous asteroids rather than fight warships. Against the Korthok swarm, they were barely more than annoyances. The second evacuation shuttle launched under covering fire from the station's guns. Alina counted 38 people still aboard, mostly essential personnel who were keeping the station running. The third shuttle was loading when a Korthok fighter broke through their defensive fire and strafed the docking bay with bioplasma. The shuttle exploded in a ball of fire, taking 12 people with it. Marcus, any word from the cooperative fleets? Alina asked, though she already knew the answer from his expression. The Xilarian Empire has decided that sending ships would be an act of aggression that might escalate the conflict, Marcus said, his voice hollow. The Andrian collective suggests we try to negotiate with the Korthok. The Crystal Confederacy is holding a council meeting to discuss possible responses. Alina closed her eyes and took a deep breath. After 15 years of friendship and cooperation, humanity stood alone. All their allies had abandoned them when the moment of truth arrived. The species they had helped and protected were content to let humans die rather than risk their own ships. "Commander, we have another problem," Thomas said from the tactical station. "The Korthok are launching boarding pods. They want to take the station intact." Alina looked at the tactical display showing dozens of biomechanical pods streaking toward. Omega-7, each one carried a squad of Korthok warriors, insectoid monsters with razor-sharp claws and acid-spitting mandibles. If they got inside the station, it would be a massacre. "All remaining shuttles launch immediately," Alina ordered. "Don't wait for full capacity. Get our people out of here now." The final 2 shuttles departed as the first boarding pods clamped onto the station's hull. Alina heard the screech of bioacid eating through the outer armor, followed by the distinctive chittering of Korthok warriors. Thomas grabbed his plasma rifle and headed for the airlock, but Alina caught his arm. "We need to destroy the research data," she said. "We cannot let them get their claws on our quantum research. It could give them the technology to break through every cooperative defense." Alina and Marcus worked frantically to purge the stations computers while Thomas and his remaining security team held the airlocks. The sound of weapons fire echoed through the corridors as human plasma met Korthok bioweapons. Alina knew they were buying time they did not have, making a last stand that would end only one way. "Data purge complete," Marcus announced. "All research files have been wiped." Alina nodded and picked up her sidearm. "Then we make them pay for every meter." The Korthok broke through the main airlock just as Marcus detected something on the long-range sensors. A single energy signature, massive and moving fast, approaching from the direction of human space. It was too big to be a rescue shuttle and too fast to be a cargo hauler. "Commander, I'm reading a gravity distortion consistent with a large vessel." "Dropping out of hyperspace," Marcus said, his voice filled with sudden hope. "Whatever it is, it's headed straight for us." Alina looked at the sensor display, seeing a ship-sized contact racing toward their position. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself to hope. Maybe someone had come to help after all. Maybe humanity was not as alone as she had thought. The lights went out as the Korthok overran the power core, and Alina heard Thomas's final transmission crackling over the radio. "This is Security Chief Reeves. The station is lost. Tell Earth... ... Tell them we held as long as we could." In the darkness, Alina waited for death or salvation, knowing that whichever came would arrive in the next few minutes. The reckoning arrives there. US Nemesis dropped out of hyperspace like a falling star, its massive bulk casting shadows across the battle-scarred surface of a research station, Omega-7. The ship was over 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that had never appeared on any official fleet registry. For 5 years, it had been humanity's most classified project, built in secret shipyards beyond Pluto and crewed by volunteers who had sworn oaths of silence. Admiral Sarah Cross stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, her grey eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the Korthok fleet. 47 enemy vessels surrounded the research station like scavengers around a corpse, their biomechanical hulls pulsing with alien life. She had served in the expansion wars, fought pirates in the outer systems, and commanded rescue operations in 3 different stellar disasters. But nothing had prepared her for the cold fury she felt seeing human civilians under attack while their so-called allies watched from safety. "Fleet composition analysis complete, Admiral," reported Commander Jake Morrison, her tactical officer. 3 hive carriers, 12 heavy cruisers, and 32 fighter squadrons. Standard Korthok battle formation, assuming no significant resistance. Sarah smiled grimly. The Korthok had made the same mistake as everyone else in the galaxy. They thought humans were weak, that Earth's small fleet and limited colonies made them easy prey. They had no idea what humanity had been building while the rest of the galaxy focused on trade and diplomacy. Communications, patch me through to the research station, Sarah ordered. Find out if anyone is still alive. Lieutenant Amy Foster worked at her console, filtering through the electromagnetic chaos of the battle. Admiral, I'm detecting faint. Emergency power readings from Deck 7. Biomedical sensors show at least 12 human life signs, but they're fading fast. Sarah nodded. 12 survivors out of 60 staff members. The cost of galactic betrayal measured in human lives. She had read the communication logs during the hyperspace jump, seen how every cooperative species had found excuses to abandon their human allies. Those excuses were about to become very expensive. Helm, take us into the fleet formation, Sarah commanded. Maximum burn, direct approach. Captain Lisa Rodriguez looked up from the navigation console with concern. Admiral, that puts us against impossible odds. One ship versus their entire fleet. Captain, do you see any other ships coming to help? Sarah asked quietly. Do you see the mighty Zilarian navy rushing to honor their treaties? Do you see Andrian task forces or Crystal Confederacy? Peacekeepers? Lisa shook her head, understanding dawning in her eyes. Then it's just us, Sarah continued. One human ship against 47 alien vessels. Let's show the galaxy what those odds really mean. The Nemesis accelerated toward the Korthok fleet. At a velocity that should have been impossible for a ship of its size. The alien vessels detected the approaching Dreadnought and began to turn, their formation shifting to engage the newcomer. Bioplasma weapons powered up along their hulls, preparing to incinerate another human target. Incoming transmission from the lead hive carrier, Amy reported. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Sarah walked to the communication console and activated the transmitter. Her words would be recorded and transmitted across the galaxy, carried by automated beacons to every cooperative world. This is Admiral Sarah Cross of the United Earthship Nemesis, she said, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's anger. You attacked a civilian research station and murdered 60 innocent people. You did this believing that humans had no allies, that we would stand alone against your fleet. You were correct. The bridge crew worked in focused silence, bringing the ship's weapons online. The Nemesis carried technology that violated 6 different galactic treaties, weapons systems that humanity had developed in secret while their allies debated ethics and regulations. You were also correct in believing that no one would come to save us, Sarah continued. The Zilarian Empire is too busy counting profits. The Andrian Collective is too afraid of making difficult decisions. The Crystal Confederacy is too concerned with their reputation for peace. Every species in the cooperative has chosen to let humans die rather than honor their commitments. The first Korthok fighters reached weapons range and opened fire. Streams of bioplasma struck the Nemesis's shields, which absorbed the energy without even flickering. The alien pilots must have been confused by the lack of damage, but they continued their attack, following instincts bred into them over millions of years of evolution. That was their mistake, Sarah said into the transmitter. They forgot that humans have never needed anyone else to survive. We walked out of caves with nothing but sharp sticks and conquered an entire planet. We built ships from metal and hope and reached for the stars. We don't break when others abandon us. We adapt. We overcome. We remember. Sarah nodded to Commander Morrison, who activated the ship's primary weapons. The Nemesis carried 12 quantum pulse cannons, each one capable of turning a cruiser into expanding plasma. The weapons drew power directly from the ship's zero-point energy core, a technology that humanity had developed by studying the exotic matter found at Research Station Omega-7. The first salvo from the Nemesis deleted 6 Korthok fighters from existence. The alien vessels simply ceased to be, their matter converted directly into energy by weapons that rewrote the fundamental laws of physics. The remaining fighters scattered in panic, their hive-mind intelligence struggling to process what it had witnessed. Impossible, Commander Morrison muttered, watching his tactical display. No single ship could generate that much firepower. Admiral, the Korthok fleet is converging on our position, reported Lieutenant Foster. All vessels are moving to engage. Sarah watched the alien ships approach with something approaching satisfaction. For years, the Korthok had terrorized the galaxy, safe in the knowledge that no single opponent could match their numbers. They were about to learn what happened when humans had 5 years and unlimited resources to prepare for war. Secondary weapons. Target the heavy cruisers, Sarah ordered. Show them what Earth engineering can accomplish when properly motivated. The Nemesis unleashed a barrage of missiles that moved through space like living things, twisting and turning to avoid defensive fire. Each missile carried a quantum warhead that could collapse matter at the subatomic level. When they struck the Korthok cruisers, the alien ships imploded rather than exploded, folding in on themselves until nothing remained but empty space. The lead hive carrier, a massive biomechanical construct the size of a small city, finally came within range of its heavy weapons. Streams of corrosive plasma and clouds of acid spore missiles engulfed the human dreadnought. The Nemesis disappeared behind a wall of alien fire that would have vaporized any conventional warship. When the energy cleared, the human ship emerged completely unharmed. Its adaptive armor had absorbed the attacks and converted them into additional power for its own weapons. The harder the Korthok hit it, the stronger it became. "This is impossible," transmitted the Korthok Hive Queen, her alien voice carrying undertones of fear that hadn't been heard in centuries. "No species possesses such technology. What are you?" Sarah smiled coldly as she opened the communication channel again. "We are what you created when you decided to murder our people. We are what the galaxy made when they chose profits over principles. We are humanity, and we do not forgive." The Nemesis fired its main cannon, a weapon that had taken 3 years to design and another 2 to build. The quantum beam struck the lead hive carrier and simply erased it, removing every atom from existence as if the massive ship had never been built. The other Korthok vessels hesitated, their collective intelligence recoiling from a display of power that defied everything they understood about technology and warfare. Commander Morrison signaled the remaining Korthok vessels. Sarah ordered, "Tell them they have exactly 60 seconds to withdraw from this system or join their flagship in oblivion." The alien fleet retreated without firing another shot, their biomechanical hulls racing toward hyperspace as fast as their living engines could carry them. 46 ships fleeing from one human dreadnought, carrying word of humanity's new capabilities to every corner of the galaxy. Sarah turned her attention to the damaged research station, where 12 survivors were still clinging to life in the emergency shelter, medical teams to the transport bays. Search and rescue, prepare for immediate deployment. Let's bring our people home. As rescue shuttles launched from the Nemesis, Sarah activated the ship's long-range transmitter. Her message would reach every world in the cooperative, every species that had chosen to abandon humanity in its hour of need. "This is Admiral Sarah Cross of the United Earth Fleet," she began. "Today, you all learned what happens when humans are betrayed. Research Station Omega-7 is under our protection, as are all human colonies and installations. Any species that threatens human lives or interests will face the consequences." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in across dozens of star systems. For 15 years, humanity honored every treaty and answered every call for help. We shared our technology, defended your worlds, and treated you as friends. In return, you watched our people die and did nothing. That relationship is now over. The bridge crew worked quietly around her, monitoring the rescue operations and scanning for any remaining threats. Alina Vasquez and 11 other survivors were brought aboard the Nemesis, wounded but alive thanks to the emergency shelter's life support systems. "From this day forward, humanity stands alone," Sarah continued. "We will defend ourselves with whatever means necessary. We will help our friends and destroy our enemies, and you have all chosen which category you belong in. The age of human cooperation with the Galactic Cooperative is over. The age of human independence has begun." Sarah closed the transmission and looked out at the stars. The galaxy had made its choice when it abandoned Research Station Omega-7. Now humanity would make theirs. They had built one impossible ship in secret. Tomorrow they would build 100 more. The Nemesis set course for Earth, carrying survivors and a message that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Behind them, the wreckage of the research station drifted in space, a monument to the cost of betrayal and the birth of humanity's true independence. In the depths of space, automated beacons carried word of the battle to every inhabited system. The age of humanity as junior partners in galactic civilization was over. The age of human supremacy was just beginning. Asterisk.